Hello, coffee lovers, and welcome to the God Country Live Video Podcast. Every Friday evening at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. And now, live from Seguin, Texas, and other places around the world, your host, Jose Roberto Alaniz Jr.
Hello, coffee lovers. Jose with Third Day Coffee Seguin, and it's Friday night. It's 1900, and that means it's time for God Country Coffee. And we've got a great show lined up for you tonight. We've got all roasters, all Christians, and all patriots on this show tonight. And so we're checking all the boxes of God Country Coffee. This is going to be heavy on the coffee side, and so because we really want to talk about coffee, and most people don't understand what all goes into it, how it actually is grown, and what the difference in the varieties is, and why our coffee, or anybody who roasts specialty coffee, why their coffee is better than everybody else's. I think you guys can hear me. Give me a thumbs up. I know I can't hear y'all. They may not be able to. Okay, in just a minute, we'll we'll bring them on and introduce them, and go from there. But I just want to warn you that any time this podcast may slide out because we're having some massive storms. But I do want to talk about a couple of things. And so I'm wearing my triple nickel shirt tonight because it's Red Shirt Friday, and the red shirts on Friday represent what do you call it? For all our deployed troops until they all come home. And that's what the red signifies when you wear red on Fridays. And so my particular shirt is from Triple Nickel, and they are a company right here in San Antonio, Texas. It's a group of veterans, and shirts are made in America, and you can get them at Kohl's, or you can get them at Triple Nickel on their website. The reason I'm bringing them up is because we're doing a collaboration with them. For those of you following the Fat to Ironman 23, which is basically me going from 309 on January 2nd to the finish line at the Waco 70.3 half Ironman in October. And so I've got a coach and a team, and everything's going well. I'm losing weight. I'm working out like crazy. I had a couple of setbacks the last couple of weeks with some kidney issues, but we're all back on track now, and everything's flowing. We have a T-shirt that I'm going to post here real quick so you can see what it looks like, that we're selling to raise funds, because apparently doing this kind of stuff is expensive. I had no clue. I never thought for a second that where did it go? I guess I can do that. I don't want to do this. I want to do this. Why is it not letting me share my screen? Okay, so that's not going to work. And now I can't get rid of it. Okay, so I'm going to put my website in the comments. You can go to the website and go to my store, and the shirt is there. It's Fat to Iron Man. Again, it's made by an American-made company by a bunch of guys who were in the military, and they sell. I've been using their shirts to work out in, and I tear my shirts up right here on the collar and in the underarm, and I am being extremely hard on these shirts, and they're awesome, and they look great when you just go out. So anyway, I'm going to put the website in the comments, and you can go there. They're not cheap, but you're supporting a cause. So if you want to help me get to Waco in some decent gear that I can finish the race with, I would appreciate anything that you guys would support us with. I've got so much support so far, and I'm excited about moving forward. So without any further ado, I'm going to bring on my guest. I'm bringing on a owner of the coffee farm in Honduras and master roaster from Legacy Farms Coffee, Ashley Williams. And I am bringing on an active duty Army and owner of Champbros Coffee. He's also a home roaster like we are, a micro roaster. and Joshua Champion.
How's it going?
Ashley, I can't hear you. I lost you again.
Let me turn it up.
There we
Is
go.
that any better?
A little bit
Yes.
louder, Ashley.
Okay.
Yeah. Take it up.
All right. We'll see if it'll.
Oh, that's awesome right there.
Yeah. So
There we go.
we'll start out with I'm drinking Legacy Farms. I'm drinking the Red Limpera canal washed, I think, is that, if I'm correct. And mine's a little bit unique, but I don't know what you guys are drinking tonight.
I'm drinking
But,
the same thing you are, Jay.
Hey, that's a nice cup, Ashley. All right. Well, yeah, I think you got some of yours, Joshua, the same time I went and got mine. So
Yeah, I think that's what happened.
But I had Joshua on the show before, and we talked a little bit about everything. But tonight, I guess we're going to start round robin. We'll go with Ashley. Ashley's probably the most knowledgeable on the coffee side. And Connie said, "Hey, nice cup." So Ashley doesn't just own the farm down there. He does some mission work, which is probably the reason that I got involved, and I know the same reason Joshua got involved too. We wanted to be able to support a coffee that wasn't just an excellent coffee, but had a purpose behind it. And so, and Ashley came to us through prayer for divine appointments. That's not a joke. That's not meant to be facetious. That is exactly how I met Ashley, because to this day, we still don't know exactly where we crossed, but we did. God put us together for his purpose, and we're making some incredible coffee. And so I'm going to let Ashley introduce himself and give us a brief introduction, Ashley, and then Joshua, do the same thing. Give us a good, introduction of who you are, where you're at, and what you're doing.
Ashley Williams, Legacy Farms Coffee. I own a coffee farm in Cerro Bueno, Honduras, also under the name Legacy Coffee. I moved my family down there in 2014. We stayed there until COVID sort of ran us out, where you're either going to die there or die here. So we came here and still waiting. But we were locked out for about 3 or 4 months and then went back in, and everything sort of went back to normal pretty quick. But I started doing mission work back in 1998. I made my first little week-long mission trip. I did about 20 since then. I bought my first coffee farm by accident in 2010, and then purposely bought the one in 2014. And Julia and I decided the boys were young. I think Eli was he was still 3. He turned 4 the day he got there, and then Jonathan was about 8 or something. So we were there for solid. We were there for like 6 years. I've always enjoyed doing mission trips. The one thing I didn't like about mission trips was the fact that we did the food packets. That seemed like, it helped somebody for a week, where I enjoy the little, I think it's a Chinese proverb, you give a man a fish, he'll eat for a day. You teach a man to fish. And so we've sort of done that, tried to help people buy. We bought probably 5 or 6 different farms for the guys, or financed them for the guys, helped people that already had farms, get them planted, start stores in their house, corn grinding businesses, one barber shop that he cut your hair, I think, one day. Try to help them help themselves. So if Jose and I drop dead tomorrow, then Santos is, he can keep rolling, and all of our guys can keep rolling with, with the businesses that we've helped start. So I enjoy doing that as much as I do, growing the coffee. I actually didn't drink coffee when I bought the farm. I had to learn to start drinking coffee. I drank cappuccino from the gas station. I'm not sure that. But, so yeah, it seems like I was in Honduras on my about 3rd or 4th mission trip, and that's where I met my wife. She wrote in her diary that night, another arrogant North American arrived today that's going to be mean to the Honduran people. And so that was the first impression of me. And I'm not sure it changed, but that was where we met at. And then I think I sent you a friend request or something, and and then ended up, I called you, you called me, and I don't know. I remember everybody else went in the house, was eating supper, and you and I were still talking on the phone for a couple of hours. Yeah, we just sort of Facebook, man, and I'm diligent about before I accept a friend request, checking them out and looking up your Instagram to see if if Jose had too many bikini pictures in there, I probably wouldn't, send him a
Oh boy.
but just a couple, and they were pretty modest, but you know, and he was the same way, he's because I'm pretty sure I sent you the request,
Mm-hmm.
and just sort of looking me up, and then we ended up just talking for a couple of hours, and the next thing you know, he drug his poor wife to Honduras, and we ended up having a pretty good time. I think it just wasn't long enough. And
Yeah.
But yeah, I got to plant coffee and do quite we got to eat out a lot. That's one of the main things I like about all the mission work. But there's a lot of good restaurants that God's letting me go to. So, but no, all joking aside, we ate some good food and did some good projects. Jose planted Santos's the entire, either the second or third farm. Got to plant some of them, but finance all that coffee and help to fertilize it, quite a bit of things like that. So it's he's really grown financially. You can see that his family is doing different. They were able to change schools for one of his kids, get him into a better high school, and so it's made a lot of difference. Just selling his coffee for him or buying his coffee and selling it in the States.
It's a lot of motivation for me to keep selling it too on my end. Joshua, how about you? Introduce yourself and tell us where you're at and what you're doing.
My name's Josh Champion. Currently been in the military for over a decade. I've been active duty the whole time. Got into roasting about roasting my own coffee about 3 years ago. But it all started when it really, really hit me with specialty coffee when I was in Germany, and I had an amazing pour over. And I was like, wait, there's something better than Folgers. So I started diving down that rabbit hole, and then I started like really, diving into where I could find some of the best coffee and stuff like that. And then, I seen how the farmers were getting treated. So I kind of wanted to give back or find a farm to give back to. So it's just not like a take thing that's a big problem in our society these days. But just about me is I pretty much just want to provide coffee to people that don't have access to it, especially on military posts. We don't have the best coffee on post. Nothing against the military. Nothing against it. It's not specialty coffee on post. So pretty much that's where I'm at. I run a company called Champbros, and I provide specialty coffee to everyone in the surrounding area, wherever I'm at that time. And then eventually I plan on branching out once I move off of post here in the next 2 years.
That's funny you say that, because my first experience, aside from growing up with my dad drinking percolator coffee, which was more than likely Folgers or Maxwell House, in the military, our coffee came in a big white bag, and it had a Navy stock number on it, and that was it. And it was, if you didn't drink it, you could use it to polish your boots. It was so nasty. And so that was my experience with coffee.
If you're in the field and you're tired enough, you'll drink that instant packet coffee. If so.
Yeah, for sure. That's definitely. So Ashley, we keep talking about specialty coffee, and I would like, I want you to elaborate on exactly, because a lot of people, in fact, Josh and I were talking about this the other day. And, people who go to the grocery store that don't know anything about coffee, they're basically bound to whatever's on the shelf because they don't know any better. And we have the privilege of manipulating the coffee however we want to. I mean, I put spice in my coffee when I roasted it. I can do that.
It's an amazing party trick. It's an amazing party trick when people don't know anything about coffee and they come over and you pour them a good cup.
It is. But I'd like for you to explain that whole specialty coffee thing, because a lot of people don't understand what it is.
Well, there's a grading system, and any set around the 70 area of coffee, 70 points, uh, that's considered good. In Honduras, when they cup it, they put a word with the score, and so a 70 point to a 75 point would be, okay, and then 75 to 79 would be considered good, and then at 80 you become specialty coffee. Uh, and if you come home with from high school or whatever with an 80, mom's not going to be real happy. But an 80 is a pretty good score as far as coffee goes. We like to have everything in that 85 to 86 range. Is where we try to. That's our mid range to shoot for. And we've done 87, 88, and 89 a few times. Never hit a 90. And that's my ultimate goal. But once you get into that mid 90 range, you're not gonna enjoy drinking a cup of coffee if you have to pay 28, $30 for a cup of coffee. I was stuck in the airport the other day and had to go to that Star or something. I can't remember the name of the company. I had to go and buy their coffee, and you're paying for just $5 for a basic coffee, and it's you sort of hate to do that. And it did seem like it was a nice cup of coffee. But we try to shoot for that area of 84 to 86 is where we like everything to be in, and that's sort of where my customer base is. A lot of the guys that do espressos and stuff, we generally have a full natural that's in that 88 range, and they enjoy that straight shot of espresso. I thought I need to turn.
I don't know if y'all could hear that.
Don't die on us, Jay.
Up too high. I was like, what's going on here?
The whole building just shook, and it's all steel, so that's a little concerning.
Yeah, it's bad.
But talk about the scoring, because I tell people all the time, well, this is 85 score, and they look at me like a deer in a headlight score. So how does that work? How do they look at coffee and say, well, your coffee's 85 and that coffee's not?
If you walk through the door, it's a 50. If they believe your word that it's coffee, you start out at 50. And then, but the term we use is a low commodity buyer. And so that would be something like Folgers or Cafe Oro in Honduras. Those would be, it's just coffee and it's black. You'd get like a, above 50 score on it. We don't want anything in the 70s. If we had something in the 70s, it's still good. I've drank it quite a few times, and I actually have a 62 in there that I was trying to flavor, but there was no hope for it. I rum crunched it as hard as I could, and still smells funny. But they do it by the, we'll start out at a cupping table, and we're going to put the beans in some little cupping bowls. We'll put 12 grams in a bowl, and then we'll smell it whole bean. Then the ladies will grind it, and they'll put it back on the table. They're going to move it around and smell the ground, because it's going to release a lot of aroma once you grind it. And then from that point, we're going to put 200 milliliters of water around 195 to 200 degrees. We're going to put that on it and let it steep. While it's steeping, which blooms, some people call it a bloom, we're going to smell it again. And all the time we're making scores and notes on what the flavors are, what the aromas are. And then at some point, we're going to take our spoon. You can see my pretend spoon. And we're just going to drop it into that crust. And then we're going to roll it around. And you're going to stick your nose right in the top of that cup. And as soon as you break that crust, you're just going to get a nose full of aromas come out. And then you're gonna judge that, write everything down on your score sheet. And then we're going to clean the cup up, because there's no filtering in that process. You're just pouring water on top of coffee grind.
Now, how hard is it to dial that in, to actually smell it, like to know what you're smelling to put on the chart? Is it a pretty hard thing to learn?
Yeah, for me it was. Yeah, because but some of these guys that grew up with coffee in their baby bottle, and I don't exaggerate.
Right.
Often I've seen baby bottles full of coffee. These guys just sort of know it. They grew up doing it. But yeah, it's something that I really had to study on. And I've drank so much coffee, just like a slurp at a time, to where the hair is standing up on the back of my neck and you can't sleep at night. And I generally drink a cup of coffee before I go to bed, because that's the only time with two boys in the house that is quiet.
Right.
Um, but yeah, it's really, and some people have a knack for it and some don't. The guy who cups my coffee has a table that has, I think, 10 different coffees on it, and it's a spinning table. And this guy's young and smart, has retention, memory retention. He'll cup all 10 of those coffees, and then he'll start writing everything down. And I've tried to mess with them before, even though it's $15, $16 a pop to have our coffee cupped. I've purposely sent 2 and 3 and 4 lots of the exact same coffee, named it something different, and I get the exact same flavor profile, the exact same. I don't tell my workers, I don't tell
That's
my
amazing.
wife. I just send it in there, and every time I've done that, which has been at least 3 separate occasions, they've been exactly the same. And I don't know. Now I can drink a cup of coffee and tell you where, that range that's going to hit, because all the coffee that came to us that's going to be coming to the States this year, I cupped it myself. There's a couple I haven't cupped yet, and so those coffees that I haven't cupped yet, I'll cup them next week, and that is where they got rid of me, which might not be a bad thing.
Now, how much coffee do you actually cup at a time for a specific batch to actually get the correct notes and aromas down on that paper before you give a final verdict on that coffee, you specifically?
All right. Can you see there's 5 cups right there?
Right.
That's going to be 1 coffee.
Okay.
And if we did like an international cupping, I would do 5 cups of the exact same coffee. And then normally there'd be more people than me, and that way it gives everybody an opportunity to break the crust. But I'll usually do 25 to 30 cups at the same time, and I'll just do double cups. And then my wife and I will go through, and we'll both break crust. We'll both do notes separately, and then and I'll give it a pretty rough score, and I can usually get within a point of the other guy. And I'll write down some basic stuff so I know what everything is, like some of the different flavor profiles. You remember this guy here, Jose?
Hey, Eli.
Hi. So
Eli's got his own farm.
Yeah, he's been doing some YouTube stuff, man. He gets
Nice.
7 times more likes and views than I do. But I can usually get pretty close. Then from that, I'll know which lots I could blend together. This year, I was pressed for time, and we joined this group because we won 4th place in the Marcala competition. Now we're in this special group, and so they cup all of our coffees now for free.
Nice.
And then now they'll certify our lot, and so it'll cost me. It's cost $700 or $800 to get your lot certified. But that's not near what we pay in cupping fees every year. And so it was a great value for us. And, I'll put all the workers' coffee in there too. So, they don't have to pay anything. So we, it saved them quite a bit of money too. So I can get pretty close, and I think I'm getting better every year. The problem is I've got to get more consistent. That's where I spend a lot of time, is getting more consistent on my roasting. Because on my big machine, it's sort of got, it's a beat. And then I go to that Hucky. I have a couple of those Hucky 500s. Each one roasts different than the other one. The profile, the times, all the changeover stuff is completely different here and in Honduras. The 2 main factors are altitude and purity of the propane that I'm using. And so all my pressure settings are different. Airflow is different there and here. But when I'm there, that's probably the most critical time because I'm doing the first sampling of the coffee. And so I keep really detailed notes on my profiles and when I change temperature, pressure settings, and stuff like that on the gas. And I generally will roast 2 batches of every coffee. And then I'll just eyeball judge which one I like the best. I like my washed coffee to have a certain brown on the outside, and I want that crack to be a certain shade. It's going to be about 8 or 9 shades lighter on that crack. and that's my nice medium roast that I keep everything to.
Have you ever thought about looking into like an Akawa sample roaster?
Like something that's more automated.
Yeah, so it like has a laptop and everything you hook up to it, and it's like a dialed. If you look up Akawa, it's a dialed in sample roaster. Um, a lot of people are using them now because it precisely will roast a good sample for you. But it's only oh nice.
It's trying to get
Yeah.
the thing to focus, but
No, I can see that color is
you,
Okay.
you can see the white line, sort of
Yeah.
the cream colored line.
is that a pea berry?
No, yeah, it's one of it's
No,
that bag you gave me that we don't remember what it was.
But I mean, is that bean a pea berry? Is it a round bean?
It's kind of oblong. It's just small.
Oh, it doesn't have a flat side.
Nuh-uh.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you look up Ikawa, Ikawa, they're an awesome sample roaster. A lot of people are using them, and I don't think they're gimmicky. I think they're putting it's small sizes, but I would think it'd be perfect for something like cupping if you're trying to actually get something a little more precise.
Well, most of the cuppers use like a $15,000 Probat, the double
Oh,
barrel.
okay, right.
And that's very, if you think about it, that's very artisan kind of,
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I have 3 of those Hucky 500s.
Okay.
And I hook them up to Artisan on my laptop and run them that way.
That's an amazing app. Artisan's awesome.
Yeah. It's Sweet
Yep.
Potatoes, I guess, bought them out or something now because I get a donation every so often.
Right. Oh, okay.
And I've thought about sending them some cash because, I mean, it's if they, that's a great program. I've enjoyed it. I don't understand it. Problem. I have to have Jose fix it, but I hate computers. I'm the most computer illiterate.
I want to make a point that so Ashley obviously been doing this. He owns the farm. He's got a big monster. What is it? A 12 kilo at least machine that does about 28 pounds every 15 minutes.
I would smoke up Fort Jackson with that thing. There's no way.
And then I have a 3 kilo machine that does about 6 pounds every. I don't know. What's that? I don't know. We lost.
It's a pretty good size roaster. I just redid all the.
Yeah, that thing is huge.
That's a big boy. That's a big boy.
I'm doing 25 pounds. The other night I hit 68 pounds an hour. Once it gets rolling, I do a long warm up. I do about a half an hour warm up on it. And then I ended up averaging 68 pounds an hour. That's what it was putting out.
I'm only putting out 20 bags a week. That's too much.
Customers. It's nice because I don't have to roast, all day. But
right.
He did all that. One of my customers and I were one day, and he's got a big fat Probat, and we were talking about drum size, and he said he had a 22 by 22, and I'd just been working on my machine, and I was like, well, I have a 22 by 22, and
you have a Probat as well?
No.
Oh, I was about to say, okay, gotcha.
Low cat or something.
Oh,
but
okay.
Now, he had the fancy Probat, and we got to talking. He was on natural gas, and I was on propane. We were talking about the differences in roasting, and then he mentioned that Probats come with.
That's a nice roaster, Jay.
And so, yeah, you got the U.S. out of Oklahoma. So anyway, before it was over with, I ended up trading him green coffee for his Probat burners and all that. And so it's been taking me some time to get it tuned in, but I put a Probat burners and all inside of my roaster. It took out all my stuff.
Is this the one you blew the doors off of?
Yeah. I didn't realize.
I'm nervous about that. I'm serious. After you told me that story, I was like, "Oh no!"
I had to get on there and Google the difference between PSI and inches water column and the other one, Pascal or whatever.
Yeah, I told my wife that story, and she was like, "You're not going to blow the house up, are you?" And I was like, "No, I don't think so." Like,
don't change the burners out without calling me first.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
I did that, and then I was only getting about 7.8 inches of water column. So the other day I just went in and redid all the piping with rigid 1/2 inch, and then now I'm up to like 14. So
Okay.
I'm just gonna start from scratch again when I get back from Honduras, and I'm gonna put in 1-inch pipe now, and because I've gutted my what is it, the regulator, and so there's nothing in there anymore. And so I just shoved it full of paper. The spring wasn't pushing hard enough, so I pulled the spring out, just packed it full of paper. So I think I can hit about 20, 21 inches of water column. And once I do that, I think I just want that curve to be a little more controllable. And so, but right now,
Where are you sitting at right now?
Right
Where's
now,
your baseline?
I've got it up to, as far as pressure wise, now I can get it to 14 inches water column. 13 is about usually what I top out at in a normal. But I want the option to be able to do more, because for me, I just keep adding more coffee in. So it brought me up from my sweet spot being 22 pounds to 25 pounds. And so that extra 3 pounds every 14 minutes, that makes a big difference. And so, I'm picking up 12 pounds an hour or something like that, fairly easily, according to what your roast is. But at least, 10 to 12 pounds an hour gain. And so that was it cost me like $200 to swap all the piping and everything out. So that's not too bad.
A lot of people don't know what all goes into roasting. And honestly, I didn't even know half of this. So this podcast is coming out. So I had Steve Green on the podcast yesterday from Mill City, and he laid out everything about his roasters and everything that goes into those roasters. And I was like, oh my gosh, like there's so much technology in today's roasters. It's ridiculous. Like there's so many variables that come to roasting that most people don't understand.
Yeah. The next one up from this one is the 12 kilo from US Roasters. And you can get the one that's got all the bells and whistles, where I just take all my roast profiles from Artisan, I plug them in, and all I have to do is load the machine. It does everything else. It modulates the gas, modulates the air. It and it even dumps the coffee when it's done. And all you got to do is take it out of the cooling bin and load the thing. But I like to have control over it, because that's one thing Ashley taught me. Some of y'all who have heard my story before, I started out with an open grill steak. I thought we lost power, but we didn't. I started with an open steak grill with a little rotisserie thing I bought from Amazon, and then I did the sacrilegious thing that you do in Texas, and I cut into my smoker pit, and I made holes in it so I could put a propane burner in it, and a fan and a rotisserie, and we went from that. And while I was on that is when Ash and I got really talking a lot, because it was hard to regulate the heat on that thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so he really helped me tune that roast in. So by the time I got the one from US Roasters, man, this was like a Cadillac compared to what I was doing out in the yard. And so it was really nice, to be able to figure that out, and work with it. Joshua, I wanted to ask you about your roasting, because yours is unique.
Extremely. Yeah. So as far as, the whole technological side, I had to kind of dial in. So a buddy of mine in North Carolina, he works for Captain's Coffee, and he helped me out with this. So pretty much I got a thermocouplet, everything, and I drilled a hole in the top of my fresh roast, not in this one behind me, but the other three that I got. I drilled a hole, so it's got a thermocouplet and a probe down in there, and it hooks to a Mastech. So, and then that hooks up to Artisan, and I pretty much have 3 fresh roasts hooked up to Artisan with probes, and that's how I pretty much dial my coffee. And I'm on the level that you guys are. Like you have coffee ready. My orders come in, and I'm having to throw beans through 3 or 4 different roasters at a time, and I'm monitoring 3 different laptops. but I have a bunch of logs. I have everything as far as especially since I got these beans from Ashley. I've been I've noticed that, okay, there's different quality in beans, and, Ashley, your beans do fantastic. Like, especially like the customers I've had so far love the medium roast from I got the same exact coffee that Jay's drinking right there. And I sold a few bags before I switched over. I sold a few bags of medium roast, and my phone just kept blowing up. They're like, "Hey man, I need some more of this." Like, whatever that medium roast coffee was. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna start doing this. I went from labels to just stamps, like me and Jay had talked about. So I'm stamping bags now, and I'm putting the origins on my bags. So and I'm leaving that option out there for whatever I have, but pretty much, most of the stuff I'm going to get from you, Ashley. But as far as my roasting technique goes, everything is on. It's through a thermocouplet and a probe, hooked up to a Mastech, hooked up to Artisan, that's hooked up to a fresh roast, and that's how I dial my beans in.
My first thought is, man, I would buy a Fidget 1048 and 3 thermocouplers from that company out of Canada, that Fidget. You could put all that on one laptop, but that's got nothing to do with what we're talking about today.
Right.
You could color the 3 different profile lines, different colors, and pack it all on one computer.
For sure. Okay. Yeah. I don't know why. I told my wife, I was like, I need more laptops. I was like, I don't know how I'm doing this. Yeah.
That's I use the Fidget, and that was, I never even thought about that, Ashley, but you never know what we're going to talk about on the show, but that's pretty interesting.
So you guys with a roaster, it looks normal. If you come to my house, I look like I'm a mad scientist in there, and I'm just going around monitoring everything.
Well, you could run 4 Fidgets, so you could get another 800 on there.
You're right. I could do that.
Tell you what, another 800, you'll sell one computer.
Right. Well, so they technically, so the fresh roast with the extension tube and all that stuff, it knocks it up to almost $1,000 with everything per one. Yeah.
I got the fresh roast 700. I thought I paid like $229 for it about 7 or 8 years ago.
Yeah, you can get so with this right here, the 800 is about roughly around $300, and then with the probe, that's like another like $50, and then with the Mastech's another $400. So it's like I add all that stuff in, and then plus paying for all the other stuff that hooks up to it. I wouldn't say quite 1,000. That was a little bit over exaggerating, but it's over 500. Like it's up there.
Yeah, I think
that's pretty interesting.
My Hucky, I usually put in, it'll roast 16 ounces. I usually put in 12, and I shoot to get out between 10.3 and 10.5 ounces. So that's my medium roast.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, so I'm usually putting I'm putting in 225 grams, and I can usually get a bag of coffee out of 2 roasts if I'm doing a medium. With this specifically, my medium's hitting around 9-10 minutes, and I can put 2 bags out pretty much in 2 goes. So, or I can get a bag out in 20 minutes of a 12-ounce bag.
12 ounce.
Yeah.
So you're putting 16 in.
Pretty much.
In 2 roasts, you're putting 16 ounces in.
Yep.
Ashley's doing math over there, I can tell.
Yeah, that's right, because I am losing a little bit, especially with the dark roast on those things. The thing, if you don't dial the fresh roast in, that thing will burn you up quick.
On that little 700, somebody walks over to talk to me, and next thing I know, everything.
You leave it.
The air high enough, and I'm looking like crap. Everything on the bottom is black already, and
right.
That showed to be 8 ounces. So yeah, that's pretty spot on.
This line of conversation brings me to an idea, or something that I have dealt with, is that, most of the coffee that we buy in the supermarket is coffee that, like Ashley was talking about earlier, it's a very low grade coffee. Somebody walked in the door and scored it at 50, and Folgers bought 10 million pounds of it or whatever. And then the coffee gets roasted way past where we would roast coffee, because they want to roast all the junk out of it.
Right.
And so, you're talking about the dark roast. I've burned coffee before, not on this machine, but I've done it on the previous roasters that I had, the Mad Scientist roasters that I had outside. But This one here, you know, one of the things that I haven't done since I bought this one is over roast coffee. And that's because it usually happens when I haven't tried to do it on a medium yet, but it does have a little gadget on it where you can set the temperature alarm. And so if I get busy, that thing will go off and tell me, hey, you're within 5 or 6 degrees of where you want to be.
Right.
But I have over roasted a medium, and then I had to just finish roasting it all the way up to a dark, you know.
Right.
But that's one thing that people don't understand either. A lot of the coffee they get in the supermarket is coffee that's had all the impurities roasted out of it.
Oh, I can't even drink it. I can't even drink it. If I was to go
Yeah.
on a road trip, I tell my wife, I'm like, hey, we are packing coffee. Like, it's going in the suitcase. Like, I can't do no.
Well, I just packed my coffee. I'm going to Honduras on Tuesday, so I was packing coffee today
Okay.
to take with me.
Right.
You take coffee back to Honduras?
Yeah, because once I get there, I'm going to roast it, and I'll roast some coffee there, but I'll have to wait like 2 or 3 days for it to degas. So
Right.
I'll take 3 days. So I'll take 3 or 4 coffees with me, and then I'll try it Tuesday night when I get there, get settled. I'll go out and roast a little bit of coffee, and I'll have their ladies are selecting coffee right now, so I'll have them pull me a couple 12-ounce samples of some different green, and so Tuesday night I'll run out there for about an hour and I'll roast 2 or 3 little batches, and because there's a couple of them I haven't played with. We bought some Sargi Moore from a farmer a couple weeks ago, and I haven't tried his very much. And then
How many farms are near you, Ashley? Like, are you the only one in that general area?
Oh no, it's pretty much all farms.
It's all farms in that area?
90% of the land is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Anything farmable there, because at those altitudes, they're not going to be growing beans and stuff like that. We'll grow beans and corn and stuff like that in the first 2 years while the plants are small, and there's room between your coffee plants, because you'll plant a coffee plant 1.8 to 1.9 meters spacing. So there'll be plenty of room there. You could plant beans, corn, stuff like that. But then at some point they get big enough that they're all touching. Then you can't plant anything anymore. But no, not the majority of the land is just strictly used for coffee.
Okay.
If it's tillable, it's
Well,
good.
now, what elevation is that? I forgot. What elevation are you guys growing at again?
It's like 5,000 to 5,100 feet.
51? Okay.
Because it's pretty hilly. And
Right,
so-
because someone asked me a question, because a lot of people don't know that, the higher the elevation, the less the caffeine content due to the bug repellent. That's what caffeine is in plants. So people ask me, like, hey, I want more caffeine out of my coffee, and I'm like, well, that's all dependent on the elevation that it's grown at and how light the roast is. But I just didn't know. What was that?
Well, I'd never heard about the repellent or anything like that. Now, when you start putting the numbers to a light roast compared to a dark roast in caffeine content, it's very, very little. You
Right.
lose
Okay.
on that. But I've never heard about it. I'll have to start looking.
Oh, yeah, no. So caffeine, so the reason why coffee plants produce caffeine is it is a bug repellent. It keeps them from eating the plant. So the higher the elevation the coffee is, the less there are bugs. So the plant doesn't put out that much caffeine. The lower the elevation, it has more bugs, so it has to put out more caffeine. It's pretty much the plant's natural, its defense mechanism is caffeine.
I've never heard of that. I'll have to do some research.
I love it. I love it. That's awesome.
I have one Robusta plant on the farm that I brought from a trip to El Salvador. And I started harvesting and programming the seeds or program it to be a seed instead of a coffee bean. And so this next year, we're going to have
I thought I was going to have trouble with freezing up. Ashley's got one Robusta plant, and I think this year they're going to have Robusta this year because
Nice.
probably about to.
There you go. Are you back?
Hello.
Yeah,
Hey,
you
yeah.
froze.
So that's the reason why Robusta has more caffeine than Arabica coffee plants, because Robusta is grown at a lower elevation.
Huh. I don't know. I'm gonna have to do some research on that because we've been growing it at 5,000 feet. So
you can grow it at any elevation. I'm just saying it naturally grows at a lower elevation, so that's why Robusta has a higher caffeine content.
But when I get enough of a sampling, we're gonna send it to K-State. I just found
Okay.
the other day that the lab in Honduras sends some coffee to K-State here in Kansas, and so we're going to try to send some of our a sampling of our Robusta. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it compares to my Arabica. That'll be pretty cool.
Yeah, I like the high caffeine stuff, but
Oh yeah, and I
I'd
might.
rather buy it all from one farm than have to, source several. Because one thing about specialty coffee too, if you're listening to this thing, I don't care even if you're listening to it on a replay or on any of the platforms that will send it out. The I just lost my thought. It just went away. It it bolted on me.
Uh, and I'm older than you are. And then he froze.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay. I'm gonna send
can
you
hear
something
you.
real quick, Ashley.
Yeah, do that because I like reading up on anything I can get. Yeah, because it might make more sense. We were going to do it on Eli Mountain, plant the Robusta, but I might take it down and put it in Pavas on Jonathan's farm because he's 1,200 meters where we're 1,500.
I'll send it to your email, Ashley.
Okay, thanks. Now I'll read it when I get.
I know what I was going to say. The thing about specialty coffee versus what you get anywhere else, because there's a lot of big name companies out there, military owned, veteran owned companies, and the other companies with the green hands and whatever, all those other places that say that they call their coffee premium or gourmet or whatever.
Is that just marketing? Why do they do that? Because I see that a lot.
Just chasing.
Well, if it doesn't have paperwork saying that it's specialty coffee with a cupping score, it's not specialty coffee.
Right.
And so if somebody tells you that they're selling specialty coffee, ask them for a copy of their paperwork, because Ashley sends me copies of the stuff that I get. And so, they can call it whatever they want to call it, but if they don't have a piece of paper to back it up, it's just coffee.
Right.
Yeah.
By the way, Ashley, I want a jute bag from your farm if you got one.
Okay, yeah, I'll get you set up with a couple of things.
Awesome.
Yeah, you should. You should be in there where we just mailed you some stuff. Yeah,
Okay.
I'll get a couple of those, and I think I might have an apron or something too over there.
Hey, I'll roast it. And I'll look. Yeah, even more mad scientist over there with an apron.
A couple of Honduran V60s.
Nice.
I'll send you one of my Honduran V60s, and you can.
Oh, V60s are awesome.
Yeah, this is a little different.
Is it okay? Explain. I've never.
Let me grab one real quick.
Okay.
I'm gonna be gone in like 2 minutes, but you guys.
Okay, that's fine.
He also the ladies made laptop covers, cases or whatever you want to call them, out of the burlap. And so I've got one that's got the Legacy Farms logo
right
on the flap of my laptop cover.
Now there was before he comes back, there was one thing I want to tell you that I was praying about over the past couple of days. It was about your service in the Navy, and I feel so sorry for you.
My coach is he's a retired Army Ranger,
right?
And so I'm in a group post with 4 or 5 Army Rangers, and I'm the only squid. So it's a constant.
I meant to ask you something. Did you ever? So I went and got my shell back. Did you ever get your shell back?
Oh, you got to go there, don't you? You just got to
just asking. I didn't know if you got one or not.
Yeah. Listen, those Army Ranger clowns got their shellbacks, and I didn't.
No,
I'm a wog.
How?
Because my captain didn't want to divert 71 nautical miles for us to do shellback.
You were that close to the equator, and they did not do the shellback ceremony.
My captain, 71 nautical miles, and my captain's like, no, we're not doing that. because he didn't want to go through it. And we where we were at that time, we could have done the whatever it is where you cross the international date line and get your shell. I think it's called a golden shellback.
Right.
We could have got the golden shellback, and that clown's like, nah, we're going back to San Diego. And so I was robbed of my shellback status, and
That is highway robbery.
I am but a mere wog to this day. It's terrible. I'm going to buy a t-shirt that says Wog Life.
Hey, well, at least you didn't have to eat mashed potatoes out of a fat dude's belly button, because that is what goes on. That is what goes on for the shellback ceremony. That's the only thing I'm putting in there. But it was
yes. I leave for 1 minute, and you guys, I don't know.
Those ceremonies are ridiculous. Like
They are.
This is if you went to a regular person's house in Honduras, they're going to serve coffee out of this. And I call it my Honduran V60 just because it's very similar to a V60.
Right.
It's like a cheesecloth. And have I gotten you one of these, Jose?
Yes.
And I mean, it makes a great cup of coffee. I've got a guy working on making a little holder for it, and I'm going to make a little gift pack this year.
Now, do you put the same amount of grams inside of it, just like you would do a pour over?
It's according to how poor you are.
Okay.
This is what an ultra poor family would do. Monday, she brews coffee and she dumps it out. Tuesday, she brews coffee, she dumps it out, saves it. Wednesday, she puts both those days back in there and brews it again. Okay. So yeah, it's just according to how poor you are.
How do you use it?
My sort of mix is 34.50.
Okay.
30 grams of coffee to 450 of water. And I don't just change up my scale from milliliters to grams. I do everything on grams. But then I'll pour it in here and steep it for a minute because, you know, your scales have got the little timer on it. I'll do a minute to a minute and a half. And then finish pouring it out. And I just have a little thing where I just put the whole thing on the scale.
I would love to try that out.
So
100%.
Yeah, it's just a fun little thing. And
how long do they last before you?
I don't use it that much, but when you go to some houses, they're just completely stained brown and
okay.
And so I think they use them till the thread comes out of it.
Okay.
But they're like $1. I pick them up when I'm down in Honduras. So I would imagine them being $1, they last a pretty good while.
Hey, I'll buy them from you.
It's a thick cheesecloth.
Nice.
It's pretty good design. And man, that's a heavy piece of metal that they twist together. And so I was trying to straighten it, and it's pretty tough.
That's an experience for people, especially if you have people that come over your house and they're wanting some good coffee, and you're like, hey, look, this comes from Honduras, and this is how they had their coffee there. That's like a whole experience that people are like, wow, I didn't know that.
We had groups come here. When we were building an attached garage to the house, and so the detached garage was built like 70 years ago. My house is 123 years old. And so 70 years old, they built this detached garage. And it was 24 by 28. And so we have some, we can hold a small group in here and people come by. And when they do, that's something. I'll line up 2 or 3 of the little V60s and do pour overs for everybody out of that. And if I don't grind it just right, you get a dirty cup of coffee, but it's sort of the experience. That's what you get, in Honduras. And
now, is it a normal like pour over grind, or are you going more thicker like French press, or more coarse like French press?
No, I use do you know how to say the word, the Malcalone or Malcatone, whatever that is, the grinders, those German grinders?
I know what you're talking about. And
I normally, when we sell coffee, I start you out with a number 6 grind.
Right.
And then, and I'll put a little note in there. If you're getting something in your cup, I'll bump it up to 6.5 or 7. So if I were doing it in here, I would bump it from my normal number 6 to a 7, but nothing more than that. Because you get around 8, you need 8 or 9, you need to steep it for a lot longer.
Right.
And especially, it all depends. If you're doing a bigger group, then I'll have a big vacuum pot ready, and I'll just do one little pour over, and 1 or 2 people get a cup of it, and everybody just sort of gets to how it's done. But yeah, probably a 7 grind would be enough. Because I think they go from, I think they actually register 0 to 10, and
Nice.
0 is like a real fine Turkish, kind.
Hey, not to change subjects and not to cut you off, Jay. Hey, if you had another question, so I got a question on one of my pages today. The lady messaged me and she goes, "Is your coffee organic? Because your website doesn't say it, and I only drink organic coffee. You need, I won't drink your coffee unless it's organic." And it was kind of like,
Okay.
I didn't know how to respond. I was like, so just asking, Ashley, like, is there, I don't understand why they would, like I said, it was organic, but they're trying to have me provide proof pretty much.
But we're not certified organic anymore. We were, and we dropped
Okay.
out of the association because it was very expensive.
Okay.
And a lot of the guys that we all went in as a group, because it's like $20-something thousand to get certified. And we were all going to pay, X amount, but then a whole bunch of them dropped out. And so we had to make the call, either because I'd already been promoting that we were going to be organic. And
Okay.
so it ended up doubling what I had planned on paying. And then we find out every time they want to come and inspect you, it's $400. And so, it wasn't for the amount of coffee we were selling and the amount that people were willing to pay extra. And at that time we were only selling green coffee. And so there was nobody that was willing to pay an extra 28 cents, I think is what the math was, per pound to have that seal.
Right.
But we don't use pesticides, herbicides. We're not certified bird friendly, but we are bird friendly. We're shade grown and all those things. Since we dropped out, a lot of the other guys dropped out. And so now Bio Latino has contacted us. And so now they're negotiating the price. So the 2024 crop will be certified organic.
Nice.
But the main thing for me is the pesticides and herbicides. And it's not even the fact that, it's not as much the fact that I could get a better price. It's more the worker safety, because these guys have been taught their whole lives by the other farmers, don't worry about that. It's all right. It's not going to hurt you. Wash your hands when you're done. We couldn't make the guys wear a mask, because I had like some, full blown, I got.
Don't hang up.
You still there, Ashley?
He'll snap to in a second. If you, I strongly, I'll tell you what. Are you back?
Okay, we back?
Yeah, we got you now.
I couldn't get them to even wear the little COVID mask. And so we finally got them to wear those N95s, but they don't take that red label seriously. And so that was one of the main reasons I said, let's don't do that. And plus, if you're the only guy spraying insecticide, within 2 or 3 weeks after you sprayed your farm, none of the other farms were spraying. Their bugs just come on over to you anyway. And so they're just doing commodity grade coffee. And literally one of the farmers said, well, all those insect eggs just make the coffee way more. And so they could care less, and so they're going to spend that money to go in there and spray. And we're bordered by rivers, and we're the highest farm and we're in a natural preserve, so we're not supposed to be using it anyway. But everybody, or a lot of the guys do. So we're not supposed to be using that because I'm the top of the food chain as far as the water goes. So there's lots of houses that go below us. A lot of the rocks are stained white where the women get in the water, and they're standing there waist deep in the water washing their clothes on these giant rocks that are out in my river. And so everything I dump on my plants gets dumped in there. And then they're taking water back to their house because they can't afford to hook up to all these big water projects that the U.S. and everybody has paid for. The water project gets paid for by the states, but then like I had to pay $350 to hook up to the water project. And so, but that's socialist. Bahidio only had to pay $50, but they made me pay $350.
Probably because of your skin color, Ashley.
Usually profiled. I feel violated.
They profiled you, man.
I thought you were Honduran. Wow.
Mark is most of the Hondurans. No, when we
Oh,
started buying the land for the library, the guy, and it was extremely expensive. It was $4,200, and then when I went up there, they changed the price to 8,000. And it's like, well, no, thank you.
Yeah.
they well, we're already at an hour, and I know the three of us could go on for hours because we've all had long conversations about coffee. Um, but Ashley, give us I don't know, just any kind of closing remark that you want to throw out there, and I'll go last, but um, just anything you want to throw out there about coffee or the mission, or if you want to plug your business, plug your business.
Well, I just ask anybody that's watching, pay attention to what you buy. I'll just give you a quick example. Like a burlap sack full of coffee sells $750 for a 150-pound bag. But when I sell, we call it Folgers. I don't sell to Folgers, but we sell to companies similar to Folgers. I sell 3,500 pounds of coffee for $340. And that is below commodity grade coffee. But that coffee is organic just as much. When I have my seal for my farm, selling my high grade coffee is organic. That junk that we sell, that's black and never is green, never going to ripen, it's full of insect damage. We picked it up off the floor. That coffee is still organic, and it will be sold as organic coffee to whoever I sell it to. They'll ask for your organic seal and your certification paperwork. And so, yeah, pay attention and do some research. And if you're a coffee shop buying coffee, find out if that guy has got his certification and if the coffee he's buying is actually specialty grade. And you could call it gourmet. I really don't know what that means. There's not a classification of gourmet. I don't.
Nope.
You might know. You taught me a bunch of stuff tonight about coffee. So. But I don't think there is that. There's heirloom coffees, and that just means I can trace the history of that coffee back. I know where I bought the plant from, or 2 generations before me. I know where that coffee was grown at. But there's so much stuff. Strongest coffee in the world. You can't say that. It's definitely not the strongest coffee in the world. And do a little bit of research and do your due diligence on who you're buying from. And if you want a cheap cup of coffee, buy a cheap cup of coffee and call it what it is, cheap cup of coffee. Put creamer in it, enjoy it, move on with your life. If you're wanting a quality cup of coffee, you're going to have to pay a little bit more for it, but you're going to know what you're getting for the most part. And the transparency thing, buy a plane ticket, and I got an apartment waiting for you. Come out to the farm, meet the guys who pick it, go out there and go in my bodega and see what kind of chemicals are in there, and look at the organic section where, we've extruded sulfur from rocks, that we use in our antifungal, and the copper and all that stuff, that they use. All that stuff was brought up from the ground, and they milled it and they ground it, and there's a whole lot to the organics that people don't know, and this microorganisms that we grow, all of my workers drink the stuff after we cultivate those microorganisms. They're growing and being fed for like 60 days. We crack it open, and those guys are dipping a cup in there and drinking it straight out. That's organic, and they say it, that's why they have full heads of hair, they say, and why I don't. And so, just know what you're getting and do some research if you're wanting quality cup of coffee, and if you're next year, we'll have our seal for the organic stuff. And then at that point, then I'll get my roastery certified organic, and then we'll start selling it as organic coffee. But we don't use insecticides, pesticides, herbicides, and probably some other sides that I don't even know about. But no, I enjoyed being on tonight, and I hope there's a point in time this summer we all can put our heads together and meet somewhere in Texas, probably, and do a weekend and Well, you can bring your 800 and we'll roast some coffee somewhere.
Oh yeah. I'll bring my whole
Absolutely.
system. I'll bring my whole system out there, and we'll have a little competition between the 800 and then the roasters. We'll do the other propane roasters.
Joshua, same thing, same question. What would you tell your customers or any coffee connoisseur, that you'd want them to know about coffee?
Pretty much. I would say I would double tap what Ashley was saying. Do your research with coffee. You really do. Like you can't just sit here and say you want good coffee and then you're not willing to pay the price for it. Like there's no, you just can't do that. And there's a lot that goes into a good cup of coffee. Like a lot goes into it. You can't just say, hey, I want a good cup of coffee. I'm going to buy this brand and it's a good cup of coffee. No, the good cup of coffee starts from the plant to the washing and drying or whatever procedures you go through or processes you go through, all the way through transport back to the States, then to the roaster, then to the consumer. Like it literally goes into a lot. And then once it gets to the consumer, then it's in the brewing process. There is so much that goes into a good cup of coffee. And I think you just need to do your research. Like we were saying here, if you take anything from what we have said tonight, it's to pay attention, research, like ask questions, dig more into the books, understanding the entire process when it comes to brewing. Like a lot goes into it. Just don't assume that a company is just selling amazing coffee. That company could have the most amazing green coffee and then it could be roasted just as perfect. And then you could screw it up in the brewing process. Like there's a lot that goes into it. So I would just say, do your research, understand where you're getting your coffee from, and just be appreciative. Be appreciative for where your coffee comes from. Understand that there are people breaking their backs overseas for you to have that daily pick me up.
Oh, yeah. You could have a really crappy coffee and an awesome marketing comment.
Right? Yeah.
Yes, there's a lot of people that do that.
Mass assisted coffee.
I'm going to end this with, I'm going to say a few words afterwards, but I want to show a few pictures from the farm. So we can kind of pull all this together. You can kind of see what the place looks like and what these people look like. And let me see if this will pop up and if I can do the window. Nope, I got to do the Chrome tab. Okay. Is that it? Oh, that's all I had to do. I couldn't figure it out earlier, but I figured it out now. And so let me come down here and grab. Well, first,
that's trippy.
Yeah, I know it looks crazy, right? Okay, so I'm gonna start with. I mentioned earlier in the beginning of the show the T-shirts that Triple Nickel, who is our sponsor, is making for us. And tell me if that filled up the whole screen, guys, because I can't see it.
Yeah, it's. Did you put a picture up? All I see is a bunch of boxes.
Oh, well, let's not do it like that then.
Yeah, you'll have to close some windows.
Okay, let me.
I got your guy back there now. My other Jose, okay. Jose Santos.
Nice.
That's the.
Oh yeah, Okay, let me share this again and do this differently. Let's see.
This guy is Santos, and that's the farm that Jose gets his coffee from. My farm as well, but this is the guy. He buys all of Santos's coffee that Santos grows.
That's awesome. Hey, can I say one more thing?
Absolutely.
So I blew someone's mind the other day because they were talking about their coffee habit, and I use this all the time because it's true. I say there's like 2 beans and 1 grape, and it takes 250 hand-picked cherries for you to have your daily cup of coffee, or for you to have your daily consumption of coffee, because most people have 2 cups. And they're like 250 picked grapes, and I was like, yes, 250 of those. And then you times that by 12, you're looking at over 91,000 hand-picked grapes for you just to have your daily coffee consumption. and they felt so bad after that. I wasn't trying to make them feel bad. I was just saying that's where the appreciation comes in.
Okay, now this should clear this up nicely.
It's
And
5
well,
pounds of coffee cherry to make 1 pound of roasted coffee.
What was that again, Ashley?
It's 8.25 pounds of coffee cherry to make 1 pound roasted coffee. So I'll have to count how many cherries are in a pound. But yeah,
Yeah, what was that, Ashley?
I like your math. I like putting it into mathematical terms, and
Right.
makes me think about that.
Yeah.
One of our girls, our best, there's about 800 to 900 beans in a pound, and our girls will select about 80 to 100 pounds a day of coffee. And so but when it comes to pea berries, they only select 5 to 6 pounds a day. Hey, we got the shirt up, Jose. My screen.
Hey, it finally came up. So this is the T-shirt that I was talking about earlier. This is the company Triple Nickel. The shirts are made in America. They're awesome quality, and each purchase goes to support. And I know this is tacky, but I have a lot of people that have always supported me when I started these weight loss things, because I do things, crazy extreme things like lose 100 pounds and do stuff. And so the last time I did it, I did it to raise money for like the Fisher House or Prowess House, something like that. But this time I'm doing it for me, so I don't die at a young age. And anyway, that's
we don't
that's
want
what
that.
the piece. Yeah, I don't want that either. I don't want that either. Let me get rid of that one, and then let me pull up this other one over here.
But yeah, we'll have to get like a definite number on that, Ashley, because that'd be a talking point for a lot of people. Because that has actually brought me some customers. You know,
I'm going to make a note, and I'll ask. I'll see if I can find out. No, I can do the math because I know how many everything in hundreds of pounds.
right? Yeah, because I'm trying to dial it down to like for you to have your daily cup of coffee. This is what it takes for you to have your daily cup, and I feel like more people would start appreciating where the coffee comes from if you can put it down to like a mission, like, hey, your daily cup costs this, pretty much.
Yeah,
that's a great idea, Joshua.
Berry, the number doubles.
What was that, Ashley?
If it's a pea berry, the number would double.
Right.
There's only one. I'll have to get you some triplets. We select out the triplets too.
Okay.
But yeah,
Okay,
I can do it fairly easily on the because at my farm it's 6.75 to 1 for green coffee, cherry to green coffee beans.
Is that you?
Okay, so this is we were talking earlier about golden shellback and all that stuff, and back in the day, beating up on each other was kind of an okay thing till we got a bunch of butterflies that cry about people being too rough and coarse. But this is when I made rank, and because I had made a lot of people mad, everybody that was at the rank that I got promoted to or above got to come in line and gingerly tack my crow on that arm, and you can see which arm they tacked, and it was actually a hairline fracture. Now here's this is me just about right before I was about to get my hair cut, and that's Brigidio in the background. One of Ashley's number one guys that works for him, and he's got his own farm, and he's got a barbershop, and he sells sodas out of the barbershop, and he's just a very driven young man. I don't know how old he is really. How old is he, Ashley?
He's 36, but he's got a little baby face.
He looks young.
Yeah.
So that was me right before I got my hair cut in the mountains in Honduras. This is the outside of his house, so people don't quite understand. Like if they've never been to a third world country, these are the huts that they live in. It's sticks with mud.
Oh yeah.
And this is the guy I get my coffee from, Jose Santos, and his two boys. And
that's
great coffee.
Frandy's on the far left, and Bexave is in the center. And right now, we've built a bathroom and a shower and all right where they're standing.
Nice.
Because they didn't have that before. And what did you say last couple of years ago? He didn't show up for work, and you didn't know why, and it's because half his house slid down that mountain.
It just fell over. It had been raining, and so it got to washing on that adobe mud, and it just fell over.
Yeah, I mean, these are the people that are out hand picking our coffee.
Right.
And Ashley took a great picture right here. It's all promotion because I didn't do much of anything but put that one plant in the ground. And I can assure you, and at that time I was probably about 40 pounds heavier than I am now. And if I'd have known there was a drop of like, I don't know, 1,500 feet, about 20 feet away from me, I probably wouldn't have gone down there.
Right.
I'd never
But
been.
those,
It was crazy steep. Yeah.
I'm
What's
trying
that?
my best to keep these things alive. Well, actually, they're flourishing here in South Carolina pretty good. It's not that bad. As long as we bring them inside, like during the colder weather, they're getting a lot of leaves on them. On the ones I have
and
here.
I'm gonna let Ashley. So this is Anna, and that's Ashley's like right hand arm down there. Talk a little bit about her, Ashley.
Oh, he looks mad in that one.
She's not looking at the camera; she's looking away.
No. I said actually his face stopped in a mad position.
Oh,
But
I want to show you. This is a coffee tree,
Right.
and I'm not sure how much I can zoom in,
Give me 1 minute. 1 minute.
but you can kind of see right here where I got the little hand, where the buds are just about to start.
this is on. Yeah, we lost you for a second.
Um,
But just she came to work for us. She was just a straight farm worker, and then she just showed a lot of promise, and she was sharp as a tack. And so we just kept pushing her, and finally we got her to take over some, a little more responsibility. And now she's the manager of the farm and does an awesome job.
and that's my beloved. And this is right. It's hard to see here, but you can see through right here where to the right of my wife at the very bottom where that road is. It's a long way down there. I promise you. It's a very long way down there. And if I would have known that it was that far down, I probably wouldn't have gone out here.
So this is taking a while, but she's growing pretty good.
Oh, are you there, Jose?
Yes.
Yeah, we're trying to grow her. She's growing a little bit for us.
Look at that.
Yep. Hello?
Are you there, Ashley?
But
He was
yeah.
showing a picture.
We
Oh,
started.
man.
There you go.
What was
you
that?
done brought the in.
Oh yeah, we got this thing growing from scratch. It's growing really good for us. It's got some new leaves on top.
That looks like a bunch of plants. It's not just one plant.
No,
Yeah.
it is. I got 3 of them.
Yeah, you're gonna have to repot that bad boy pretty soon.
Oh, it's growing quick. I was we've been taking real good care of it, and she was like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna have to get another pot."
Yeah, I'd go ahead and break it into 3 or 4 different plants. I
Break it into 3 or 4.
Yeah, each one of those trunks is one plant.
Right. So you think it's So we probably need to start doing that soon, then, right?
Yeah, because it's your root's going to be as deep as the plant is tall. So you've already got some roots curling up in there. But now you have some coffee next year.
Oh, I hope so. That'd be awesome. We've gave that thing so much time and attention, and it's grown. It's been I can't tell you how long.
I tried to grow some here and it just didn't.
Oh,
A couple of times. I've got some seeds I'm going to bring back when I come back on the 18th or whatever. I'm going to bring some seeds with me and see if I try to plant them. And we stick them in orders and let people try to plant them. But
I got 4 more of those pots.
oh, you do? Cool.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
When it's 3 years old, it'll need to be in a regular sized garbage can if you really produce fruit.
Oh yeah, we've had this thing for almost 2 years now.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, it's a pretty good sized plant. That's about where it should be.
Okay.
That's pretty awesome. I've had no success with
Not me. My
doing.
wife's got a green thumb. It is not me.
Yeah, my wife. Well, till I built a greenhouse for her this year, and so she's got some. She does have some. Finally, has some stuff that's really, really growing. Um, but I wanted to show one last picture because we were. I know we've talked about the cherry and all that stuff, and I have pictures of that from Ashley's farm, and I took some great photos.
That's Pedro. That's the first coffee we picked this year. Pedro
Nice.
put it up and showed it to me, and I actually made that picture and had it blown up a little bit and framed it, and gave it to him this year.
How many cherries does one plant produce you? If you had to pick just one plant, how many cherry or how many grapes does it produce?
I wouldn't even guess. I've thought. I missed most of that. Can you say that again?
No, I said how much does one plant produce, like grape wise, just one? You got me, Ashley?
Yep. Yeah. Now you're moving.
Okay. No, I
You were
said how
saying
much does yeah, on average, on one plant, how many grapes does it usually produce in a season?
I don't know. I've never. Yeah, a couple times I've thought about like either counting them. You pick it about 6 or 7 different times,
Hmm.
and so you'd have to keep track pretty close.
Okay.
Uh, I can do some math. I have about 75 to 80,000 plants, and so I can
Okay.
do math of how much we picked this year.
Okay.
And
Yeah, because my wife is curious to how much coffee might come off of this plant once it starts fruiting in the future.
okay, and I could ask Anna how much we got off that Robusta. See if she wrote down the numbers because
Okay.
we have one of those, and to see because it had a pretty poor production this year, so that would give an idea of the low side production.
Okay.
I can ask Anna how many beans she got off of it because it
Okay.
was.
That'd be awesome.
But
Okay, I got these pictures pulled up, and these are more from Ashley's farm, just so you get an idea of what we're talking about when we say cherry. And so that's what one cherry looks like. Did it pop up?
yeah, yeah, that's still pretty green.
Yeah. Let me see. Where do we go here? Uh-oh.
Now, are you looking for this to be like fully red, like before you pick it?
Yeah, yeah, it needs to be.
Okay.
And some of those weren't perfect because that was the first picking, so it needs to be a really dark red. And we
Now,
like to.
now are they pretty much edible in that state?
Oh yeah, yeah, they eat them all the time. The
Okay.
sugar should be about 18%, and so I mean it's going to
Okay.
be super sweet. We use an auto refractor and check the sugar in them,
Okay.
and so yeah, 18 would be a really good number. Oh, that's a little flower.
Yep. That's I guess I haven't had to do tea with that yet, but you were saying that if you I guess you could make tea out of that too.
Yeah, the problem is there's two different types of leaf. One of them's going to put out a new branch, and one of them's going to put out a pod of coffee beans. This is very similar to a honeysuckle. When you pull the pistil out through the back, you're going to get a little tiny drop of dew on it, and it's just super sweet, just like a honeysuckle.
Nice.
And so there's only about 2 days, 3 times a year that we can harvest the flowers. But this year we're going to clean a section of farm, about a quarter of an acre. And so we're going to wait until it flowers, and then we're going to harvest the flowers, and then we'll cut the plants down. And so we'll have maybe a pound, something like that, of coffee flower. And that's the sorting table that the ladies work on.
You know what's crazy is a lot of those companies don't even have these tables where they pick out defects and whatnot. They just throw that coffee together and sell it to consumers. So
Well,
that's
look,
that's awesome to see that.
the right side is that's a little hand shaker, and so that's your screening. That's just a single screening table there.
Right.
And the one in the house where we actually hold the coffee has got 3 layers, and so it'll pull the pea berries and triplets out on one. your standard coffee on the other, and then anything really big will stay on the top. And then they all go into different bags. And then the
Nice.
stuff that's in that center table will go here and get hand selected. Then the pea berries and triplets will come in later in the year and get hand selected.
Okay.
And the stuff on the top, that'll go to our secondary market there in Honduras.
Hey, on average, how much do you think your green coffee lasts on average? Like if you was to just throw it in a box, air in a pantry somewhere, how long do you think it would last?
If you keep it out of the light and keep it in a decent atmosphere, it should last about 2 years without losing more than 1.5 points. We age the coffee for 90 days in parchment under near ideal conditions, and that extends the shelf life of the green coffee.
Okay. Well, one more question. I know it's getting, we've been on here for a minute, but I just want to know. So once this plant starts fruiting and once it comes time to pick for here, what process would you take? Because I've never picked and went through like a washing procedure or a honey procedure or any of that stuff. What would you do at a home if you had to do it at your house?
For your plants you have in your house,
Yeah.
You can control the conditions. I would go honey on them. I would do a
Okay. What process, like how would you do it at your house? Like the drying procedure, like the whole process that you're going through, how would you do that at home, do you think?
I would find some kind of a place where I could put a screen, like the screen on a screen door of the house.
Okay.
On some kind of a screen and get a little airflow going under it and above it, where you could take it outside on a good hot day. But in ideal conditions, you need to move that coffee every 30 minutes. You need to be moving it. But like in the house, the safest way you would do it, you're going to pop it out by your fingers, and I would go ahead and wash it, and then it would dry a whole lot faster.
Okay.
But I don't know, what kind of coffee is it?
It's an Arabica tree. What'd you say now?
What variety is it?
Yeah, I just know that it's an Arabica coffee plant. That's pretty much that's literally all I have on it right now.
You can start, as big as it is, you can start looking up the distance between the veins. And
all it says is Arabica coffee plant. That's all it says on the side of it.
You can start doing some research. It's going to be the spacing in the veins on the leaf. It's going to be the broadness, the point of the leaf. It's going to be the distance between each one of the little branches on the tree.
Okay.
You can start looking up all of those different things, and you could narrow it down to what variety, or at least the family of it.
Oh, you're talking about the family. No, I don't know that. I just know that it's an Arabica coffee plant. I'll dig into my research because I don't know that.
Because this last coffee I bought a Sargi Moore, and so I split it up into thirds, and I processed a third of it washed, a third of it honey, and a third of it natural, and I threw it on the patio all at the same time, and the point difference was 2.25 points difference between the worst cupping and the best cupping. Right. And so on the Sargi Moore,
I don't know if you could tell here. I don't know.
I can't. There's 229 varieties that grow in Honduras.
Right.
And so it would be just the same research it would you.
Makes sense.
I've researched the coffees that grow in my area at my altitude, and so that's what I've researched the most of.
Okay.
But like my Sargi Moore, it cupped to 87.25 natural, and it cupped an 85 something washed.
Okay.
And there's a point more for the honey. So if you found out what your variety might cup best at, like my Perinema, I've never had a decent cup out of the natural process on the Perinema, so I just quit. And my Bourbon cups higher at wash than it does anything else.
Okay.
And some of my best cuppings are the natural process Lempira. And so it's just crazy what the different varieties and the different processes will do.
Nice. Yeah, I'm gonna dig into that because I don't know. Well, I got 4 more of these, so I don't know how different all the rest of the plants are.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, definitely put them leaf to leaf and see if they're the same variety.
Okay.
Good stuff.
And we'll get you something that we know what it is, and I'll get you some seeds, and you can play with that.
Okay, sounds good.
That would be cool.
Some
I want to thank both of you guys for taking time on your Friday night. I know Ashley, like me, is always in the shop toiling away, and I know Joshua, I mean, he's got a full-time military career that he has to do first. And then he got to come home and stay up till 2 o'clock in the morning so he can get his orders out.
That's right.
I know that we all share that passion, but if you didn't really, I know we all have different stories, but I fell in love with coffee overseas and because I'd never had it quite like that before. And we tried to show you some of the pictures tonight of some of these people that are actually picking your coffee in third world countries, living in conditions that you and I wouldn't live in. And I know that when Connie and I came back from visiting Ashley's farm, one of the first things that I said, it's horrible. We're over here griping about the Amazon driver didn't put the package where I told him to put it. And these people down there don't have sewage and don't have running water, and some of them don't have electricity, in their huts. I mean, they don't have lights. The sun goes down and they got to go to bed, and or try to read by the fire. I mean, that's primitive. So you're when you go and you buy a good cup of coffee, and I'm gonna lay it out there. I'm gonna throw everybody else under the bus. When you go and you buy a good cup of coffee, not from all them other chains and everybody else that buys junk, these people in the mountains that struggle to survive are the ones out there in the fields picking it for us, so that we can have a great cup of coffee. And it does mean. What's that?
They don't get to drink that cup. They drink the Wakuko. They drink
yeah. And so
avocados. I can't get good avocados where I live because the good avocados in the United States, and what we get's bruised up and beat up.
Right.
Yeah. And so that, you can buy coffee wherever you want. You can. But if you really want to support, I think Ashley says it quite a bit. I don't know if we've mentioned it tonight, but when you buy coffee from me, or you buy it from Champbros, or you buy it from Legacy Farms, or any other specialty grower and farmer and producer, you're literally buying crop to cup. Our coffee is all direct trade. There's no middleman. It comes from the workers at Ashley's farm straight to my shop before it goes in the roaster. And so you're literally supporting the people. Some of the pictures that we've shown, Ana and Santos and Regidio, you're literally supporting those families that are so impoverished.
Both of those houses that you saw, both of them now have running water in the house. They both have electricity in the house. They both have brand new showers and bathrooms, and their houses look quite a bit different now than what they did in the pictures. And a lot of that, some of that's for me, but a lot of it is because we taught them how to do that money once we started paying them more money. And once they start getting money in from you guys in the States buying their coffee, they didn't know what to do necessarily with the money. And I'm not some kind of financial genius, but I said, let's make you, I'll help you with my buying power to get those materials for your house. But one year, Santos's year-end bonus was water in the house. The next year, it was electricity in the house, and then it was a store in his house. And then this last year, after we visited, I asked him, I said, "Where's your shower at?" And he's like, "Well, I don't have a shower." And
wow.
I didn't think to ask. And so we go out there and I just had the materials left over. I didn't actually build the shower on that house. We delivered the materials and they built the thing. They just didn't have the money to buy the materials. And so a couple $100 worth of materials, and they got a house, or they got a shower. But Santos's house looks nice now.
That's awesome.
Takes care of it, and he's built on it. He built Frandy a new bedroom last year, and he built a lean-to, like a 14 by 18 lean-to, where they have a home church there now. And so Santos, I don't know if he's been baptized yet, but he started going to church, and he's definitely changed a lot of his ways and gotten his act together. So he's made a drastic change. A lot of that's his wife.
But ultimately, that's the beautiful thing. It's the reason I got connected with Ashley, and I know Joshua, and there's a lot of other people that I know also that buy from Ashley for the same reason. It's not just great coffee. There's so much more mission behind the coffee, with the church and with the with LF Missions that actually supports the community in a Christ-like fashion.
The best comparison I could make to that is you picking Pillsbury biscuits over your grandmother's homemade biscuits. That is the best comparison I can make.
I do like it when the thing pops, though. You know, when you're
Right?
open.
Yeah, that is pretty. Just like a Folgers can, you know.
Yeah, I really appreciate you guys. If you're listening to this on any one of the platforms with the audio only, you can go to any one of our. I did hit the tab, guys. So whenever we get done, I'll send you a copy of the audio. But you should be able to. I don't know if it allows you to grab it too, but if not, I'll send that out so you guys can put it on your platforms. But if you're listening to it, you can always go to any one of our YouTubes and watch the video so you can catch some of the pictures of that we shared with some of the stuff, you know, the actual product and some of the workers and stuff. Because I think that's really important to understand, you know, where you're getting your coffee from. You know, if you don't care, and like Ashley said, if you want to go buy, call it what it is. It's a cheap cup of coffee, and you don't want to pay more than $4 for a pound. Well, then go buy the cheap stuff and be happy and put all your cream and sugar in it. And you know, that's fine. I mean, that's perfectly fine. But, you know, if you are looking for a much better quality coffee, or you're, you know, a connoisseur, you know, then buy specialty coffee and buy it from us. Cause, it really supports a great mission all around.
Right. Hey, one more plug from me. If anyone is I interview all the top roasters from across the nation and the world. So if anyone wants to follow my podcast, the Roasters Roundtable, I'm bouncing back and forth between mine and Jay's podcast here. So if I just had Steve Green on, that'll be put out here shortly. He's the CEO of Mill City Roasters. That's going to be put out. So all of my content is just basically based towards roasters across the nation. So if anyone is curious to how the roasting procedures go per company and if their experiences are the same and how they differ, you can follow that podcast specifically, and it is the Roasters Roundtable.
Sounds good.
And Ashley's is Ashley. We've just got his up on most of the platforms. We got a couple more to iron out, but you can Google Legacy Farms Coffee Podcast, and it will pop up on Google and Amazon and Spotify and NPR, all those platforms that Red Circle uses. His podcast is on there. He's just getting started with his podcast, so he'll be throwing up more episodes on there. And as always, you can catch Third Day Coffee Seguin with God Country Coffee every Friday night. Not every Friday night. I still have a regular day gig, and so sometimes it gets in the way. But
I'll make up for it for you, Jay.
There you go. We try real hard to do one every Friday at 1900. And I just want to thank everybody. I know this one's gone on really long, but I know there was a lot of information, and it didn't seem like it was that long. I know we could go for a long time if we wanted to, but that would be a very specific niche group that would want to listen to us.
Hey, so one more thing before we go. I really would like, and I bet I could get some time off. And, you know, I told you this, Jay. Ashley, did I tell you about the one of the drill sergeants that walked into the office, and I don't know if it was God or what. And she was like, I'm just ready to move. I'm done with this place. I was like, oh, where are you getting stationed at? She said, Honduras. And I was like, that's crazy. That's a side story. But what I really want to do, and I could get it approved, I'd actually talked to some people about it. I would like to take all my camera equipment and go down to Honduras, and we can do an in-person podcast on the farm and record it.
Oh yeah, and that's my background now, is on the farm. But yeah, Wednesday night I'll be doing a live podcast on my back porch.
Okay.
Well, it's according. I got to look at what time it gets dark. I might do it a little bit earlier.
Right.
Yeah, I'll do a live, and I'm gonna do about a half a dozen recorded ones.
Okay.
While I'm there,
I think it'd be awesome to have all three of us there. That'd be pretty cool.
Oh yeah. I gotta do the same thing you do, Joshua. I gotta coordinate it with my chain of command, because
right.
They don't just let you travel like that.
No.
When Connie and I went to Ashley's last time, it was the year I took off of work, and so I didn't have any restraints. But But I've kind of talked about it a little bit to the leadership, and they said, it's going to be a mission trip.
Yeah. Most people don't know anything about other countries. So if I'm trying to go to Honduras, are you trying to peddle cocaine down in Honduras? Is that what you're doing? No, it's not what I'm doing.
Yeah, I think Ashley was telling me that it's easier to peddle drugs in the country than it is coffee because the coffee is such a huge commodity,
Right.
But
container of Coke over here easier than I could of coffee.
Right.
But that would be pretty awesome. We should all coordinate that because I know Connie wants to go.
We got
back.
time.
Yeah. Let's plan that and do it, Ashley. That would be pretty awesome.
But yeah, let's do it. I'd love to go down there and just us hang around for a while, and
we could go get tacos in Marcala.
Oh yeah.
Now the reason why I said because is I could actually go down there because they have like a little barrack space for people down there. So if I wanted to go, there is a military base down there. They would let me. I would be able. It would sound better that I'd be staying on a military post. It would sound better to them, so they'd be more apt to let me go.
Oh yeah, and we got an apartment you could stay in too. We're just like about an hour and 10 minutes away from post. So
okay, awesome.
Yeah, it's a good.
I appreciate you guys so much, and as always, I tell everyone who watches the show, tune in every week. Treat each other the way God intended us to treat one another, with love, kindness, and respect. And until next week on God Country Coffee, God bless you guys. Have a great week. You guys hang tight, and I'm going to close it up.